what is the definition of a global stablecoin according to the central banks of all central banks? What is the definition of a global stablecoin? And when people tell me that, oh no, XRP can't be a global stablecoin, my friends, I'm going to tell you the definition. This is their definition, not my definition, their definition. The central banks for all central banks. Let's see what they say is a global stablecoin. Some risks are amplified and new risk might arise if adoption is global in nature. Stablecoin initiatives built on an existing large and cross-border customer base. Stablecoin initiatives built on an existing large cross-border customer base may have the potential to scale rapidly to achieve a global footprint. These are referred to as global stablecoins. Oh my goodness, my friend. I hope you're sitting down before you watch this video. I wouldn't want you to faint. Oh my goodness, do I have one for you today? Oh my goodness. So about 4 days ago, I made a video showing how the international organizations for the securities commissions globally was talking about a global stablecoin that a private company would manage. And this stablecoin would be backed. It would be backed by huge amounts of assets that global financial institutions would hold in accounts globally. All right. So global financial institutions all over the world would be holding assets that would be backing this global stablecoin that a private sector company would manage. And all of these assets backing this global stablecoin would be called collectively the reserve fund. So collectively, globally, all of these assets, like I said, in numerous different accounts globally, commodities, stocks, whatever, mainly commodities, they even talked about debt instruments and everything, all of them collectively would be called the reserve fund. And I showed you how this is literally exactly what Ripple does, right? And it showed how this coin would be exchanged on exchanges or peer-to-peer. It described everything that Ripple is doing to the T. I'm going to show this video at the end too, so if you haven't watched it, don't worry about it. It's going to be part of this video at the very end. All right, my friends, I don't even know where to start. So this is the BIS, right? This is the Bank for International Settlements. This is the central banks for all central banks, my friend. Every central bank in the world is connected to this bank, the BIS, the Bank for International Settlements. All right, they're more powerful than you can ever imagine. 99.9% of people on planet Earth have no clue how powerful this bank is. So there you have the CPMI and the IOSCO that are publishing. So this is 2019. Actually, this one was 2022. Sorry. There's another one, 2019. This is documents they've been planning for a long time. And just one thing, guys, too. When people say, oh, that's an old document, it's 3 years old, it's 5 years old, it's obsolete. In my opinion, that's ridiculous. When I hear an argument like that, try to discredit XRP or Ripple or anything because, oh, it's a 3-year-old document or 5-year-old document, to me, that's foolish. I'm sorry, I don't mean to offend anybody, but to me, to say, that document, it doesn't count anymore. The fact that it's an old document shows you how long it's been planned. The fact that the document is old, that's not proof that it's no good anymore. No, that's proof that this has been planned for a long time, my friends. So anyway, so here the CPMI, and I'll explain who they are, and the IOSCO, which same organization I showed you talking about the global stablecoin, which described Ripple to the T, published final guidance on stablecoin arrangements. When they say stablecoin arrangements here, I'm going to show you that they're talking about a global stablecoin arrangement. Stablecoin arrangements, that's the word they're using, but they're talking about a global stablecoin. How is it going to be arranged? So let me show you, just real quick, before I go into this document, let me show you the global stablecoin arrangement. Let me show you what they mean. This, my friend, I'm going to prove this, my friend. This is your global stablecoin arrangement right here, my friend. It's the XRP Ledger. XRP being the global stablecoins and all of the central banks all around it being connected to the XRP Ledger and everything settling through this new global stablecoin. When they talk about a global stable, and I'm going to prove this. I know this sounds crazy. When they say stablecoin arrangements, they mean a global stablecoin. How are we going to arrange this? How we got to make sure that the regulations and everything line up with this new global stablecoin. It's all about making Ripple XRP successful. This has been planned for years, my friend, years. And while I'm at it, let me show you this document, the Committee on Payments and Markets Infrastructure, PMI. This is exactly what the document's talking about. This is the BIS, Bank for International Settlements. The same organization, the central banks of all central banks, the same organization that literally just published that document I was talking about. It's the Cross-Border Payments Interoperability and Extension Task Force. So this is the Cross-Border Payments Task Force for the BIS. This was 2024. The only blockchain company on this Cross-Border Payments Task Force. The only blockchain company is Ripple. I'll go down through it real quick. It's right here. Go down here. You can see all of them. Ripple right here. I'll scroll slowly there so you can see there's no other blockchain company that's part of the task force, my friend, the Cross-Border Payments Task Force for the BIS. Now let's get back to this document here. So they published final guidance on stablecoin arrangements, confirming application of principles for financial market infrastructure. What was this document earlier about that we saw that Ripple was the only company on the cross-border task force? What was it about? Payments and Markets Infrastructure, the Committee on Payments and Markets Infrastructure. And here they're talking about principles for financial market infrastructure. Isn't that interesting? So right here, my friend, oh, it gets better. Trust me, it gets a lot better, my friends. Oh my goodness. So the CPMI and the IOSCO issue final guidance on stablecoin arrangements, confirming that the principles for financial market infrastructures apply to systemically important stablecoin arrangements that transfer stablecoins. So this is a systemically important stablecoin arrangement that transfer stablecoins. Isn't that interesting? It has to do with transfers. Guidance is a major step forward in applying same risk, same regulation to stablecoins and extending the international standards for payment, clearing, and settlement systems to cover systemically important stablecoin arrangements. So they're talking about international standards for payments, clearing, and settlement systems, and they're talking about systemically important stablecoin arrangements. Now we're going to see another document here, G7 Working Group on Stablecoins, investigating the impact of global stablecoins. Global stablecoins, my friend. Keep in mind, if it's a global stablecoin, it means it's touching numerous jurisdictions. It's not a regular stablecoin like the USD or stablecoin that's tied to the euro dollar or the yen or whatever. It has global implications. This is your supranational currency. We've seen documents where the World Bank and the IMF talking about supranational currency. It's a currency that crosses jurisdictions. It's a global stablecoin, obviously. Investigating the impact of global stablecoins, and this is the G7, the International Monetary Fund, and the Bank for International Settlement, the Committee on Payments Infrastructure. So the same committee we looked at earlier, all right? So in this document, it mentions 45 times. Remember, this document is about investigating the impact of global stablecoins. This document is all about global stablecoins, and it mentions cross-border here 45 times. Look, I did a search for cross-border 45 times. Technological innovation is transforming the provision of financial services and products. Payments services, in particular, have seen significant changes in recent years through the introduction of new payment methods. Isn't that interesting? New payment methods, platforms, and interfaces. In fact, an increasing number of countries have payment systems that provide inexpensive and near-instant domestic payments. However, the challenges in current payment services remain. Above all, cross-border payments remain slow, expensive, and opaque, especially for retail payments such as remittances. This is exactly what Ripple does, my friend. This is exactly Ripple to the T, right here. Cross-border payments, they're fixing the slow, expensive, and opaque payment systems. That's what they do. Moreover, there are 1.7 billion people globally who are unbanked or undeserved with respect to financial services. They want you to believe that it's about helping the unbanked, right? The people who live in countries that are very poor, they're only earning maybe $200-300 USD per month. And so when they're doing a cross-border to them, they have to pay a $30 fee on a $200 transfer. This fixes that. But trust me, my friends, it's not about helping the poor people here. This is what they want you to believe. It's about tying them into the system. It's not about helping them. The central banks, for all central banks, and these people behind this agenda are not to help the poor people. Forget that idea, please. This is about profit, my friends. This is about profits. It's always about profits. It's the only thing they care about. If you think it's about anything else but profits and them saving money, and a whole bunch of other agendas that they have, and get them to get more powerful where they control everything. If you think it's anything else than that, you've been deceived, my friend. I'm sorry, I don't mean that in a bad way. I love you. I'm just saying it's not about helping the poor people. Just wanted you to know that these people, they don't care about the poor people, unfortunately. All right, let's continue. So let's see what they say in cross-border payments. Some risks are amplified and new risk might arise if adoption is global in nature. Stablecoins initiatives built on an existing large and or cross-border customer base may have the potential to scale rapidly to achieve a global or other substantial footprint. These are referred to as global stablecoins. GSC. So here they're telling you what they mean by a global stablecoin, and they're describing Ripple. They're describing Ripple and Stellar to a certain degree. Stellar XLM, my friend. I just see XRP as the main internet of value. It's because all the central banks are building on top of the XRP Ledger, right? 99% of them are building on the XRP Ledger. I see that as the main internet value, but I'm still aware and conscious that Stellar is gonna handle cross-border payments too, but it's more peer-to-peer. So let's read this again. I want you to understand what is the definition of a global stablecoin according to the central banks of all central banks and the IOSCO. That's the International Organization for the Securities Commissions. What is the definition of a global stablecoin? And when people tell me that, oh no, XRP can't be a global stablecoin, my friends, come on. I'm going to tell you the definition. This is their definition, not my definition, their definition. The central banks for all central banks. Let's see what they say is a global stablecoin. Some risks are amplified and new risk might arise if adoption is global in nature. Stablecoin initiatives built on an existing large and cross-border customer base. Stablecoin initiatives built on an existing large and or cross-border customer base may have the potential to scale rapidly to achieve a global or other substantial footprint. These are referred to as global stablecoins. So stablecoin initiatives like Ripple has, and Stellar technically, to a certain degree, built on an existing large and or cross-border customer base may have potential to scale rapidly to achieve a global or other substantial footprint. These are referred to as global stablecoins. And then they go on to mention, like I said, cross-border payments. They talk about global stablecoins and cross-border payments along the whole document 45 times. 45 times, my friend. Cross-border payments globally, 1.7 billion adults do not have access to transaction accounts. Then right here, global stablecoins may transform from a cross-border payment solution to assets with money-like features. So a global stablecoin may transform from a cross-border payment solution. What is the cross-border payment solutions that we have right now, my friends? It's Ripple. That's the cross-border payment solutions. So they're saying that a global stablecoin is technically a cross-border payment solution that could transform to assets with money-like features. And here it says the G7 believes that no global stablecoin project should begin operations until the legal, regulatory, and oversight challenges and risk outlined above are adequately addressed through appropriate designs and by adhering to regulations, blah, 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 all this BS, right? Then here, cross-border payments again. Now, right here, you got the BIS, you do a search here, global stablecoins. Let's see all of the different documents and teams that show up here. So this is, again, I search for global stablecoins, and this here is all different documents. There's 101 documents in the BIS archive here that talks about a global stablecoin. So let's just look at the general teams here, the paragraph where it talks about global stablecoins. So we've got global stablecoin arrangements for cross-border payments. It's for cross-border payments, right? It's stablecoins fostering the soundness of global stablecoin arrangements for cross-border payments. So what is the global stablecoin for? It's for cross-border payments. For cross-border payments. Soundness of global stablecoin arrangements, they're referring to global stablecoins, and improving global cross-border payments. My friends, the Global Stablecoin Initiative is XRP. It's XRP, my friend. A global stablecoin for retail purposes could provide faster and cheaper remittances. Spur competition. What's cross-border? What does Ripple do? Faster and cheaper remittances. Faster cross-border, right? These are all documents dating back from 2018. There's 101 documents on the BIS website. 101, my friend. Coming from the financial market infrastructure. And what did Gilbert Verdian from Quant said when he was talking about the Regulated Liability Network, which technically used to be called the Regulated Internet of Value? They changed the name because they don't want you to know that it's XRP. He said, we provided the programmability, interoperability, and custom APIs for the project, but we also partnered with our tree who's bringing in over the shared ledger where all tokenized assets reside. That the goal eventually is to create a new FMI, a new financial markets infrastructure. And what do we see about these documents here? It's all about principles for financial market infrastructures, a new FMI. And in my other videos, if you've watched my other videos, I proved to you that unified ledger, the shared ledger, the regulated liability network, the regulated internet of value, and the finternet, financial internet, is all the XRP ledger. It's the internet of value. They say finternet now, financial internet, instead of saying internet of value, because everybody knows internet of value is Ripple. So if you watch my other video, you know exactly what I mean. You've seen the clips where I show Gilbert Verdian talking about all that. So bear in mind that you don't want to miss this. If you haven't watched my first video where I talk about this, where I showed that the IOSCO is literally giving, just don't miss this, my friend. Okay, so keep this in mind, the CPMI and the IOSCO that talk about global stablecoins throughout these BIS documents. It's saying that the BIS and the ICO would help to regulate them and make sure that they're this and that. All right. We're now going to watch a clip of my other video where I don't miss this, guys. I'm just going to let it play. Do not miss this, my friend. I'm just going to let it play because it gets really better, my friends. It gets crazy. How would you like to see Ripple XRP being backed by numerous commodities? Let's get into it, guys. Like I said, this is the board of the International Organization of Securities Commission. So this is the international body that's connected to all the different security commissions. So the Security Exchange Commission that's suing Ripple in what I believe is a staged lawsuit. I believe it's a fake lawsuit. And so this same organization that is suing Ripple, technically connected to this international body, this international body is talking about a global stablecoin. So right there it is. So the International Organization of Securities Commission. So we're going to scroll down here. So this is the Global Stablecoin Initiatives. Thank goodness, guys. Wait till you watch this. Whew. Executive summary. Global stablecoin initiatives may, depending on their structure, present features that are typical of regulated securities or other regulated financial instruments of services. This paper identifies possible implications that global stablecoin proposals could have for securities market regulators. The content includes some background to the genesis and development of the paper, together with an overview of different stablecoin designs and a hypothetical case study. Wait till you see this hypothetical case study. My friends, do not miss this video. My goodness. So right here, in big bold here, right here, hypothetical case study, section 3. The paper then explores how existing IOSCO principles and standards could apply to global stablecoin proposals like the hypothetical case study. So they're literally trying to figure out how they're going to set the regulations globally to accommodate this global stablecoin is really what they're doing here, to accommodate this hypothetical case study. The IOSCO has carried out a separate preliminary analysis, termed ISO analysis, on the application of the CPMI IOSCO principles for financial market infrastructure, which is available at Annex 1. And I'm going to try to remember to show you also the document where it talks about the Regulated Liability Network also being called the Unified Ledger and the Regulated Internet of Value. This organization is mentioned in the same page that they're working for the regulations for this new FMI. The hypothetical case study. A company, also known as company, capital C, company, and then they put comma and they put company with a capital C. A company has determined to design a platform using distributed ledger technology to issue a crypto asset, also known as coin, right here, coin, that is intended to act as a stablecoin. This stablecoin is intended to act as a means of exchange on the company's designed platform. This stablecoin is intended to act, and remember guys, this is about a global stablecoin. This is a global stablecoin initiative. This is not a local stablecoin. This coin is backed by global assets. Keep that in mind. Global stablecoin, not a regular stablecoin. All right? This stablecoin is intended to act as a means of exchange on the company's designed platform. Sounds like the XRP Ledger and RippleNet, doesn't it? As a means of exchange on the company's designed platform and accessible also by third party. The company and third-party participants in the platform intend to offer goods and services in exchange for coin. Company also anticipates that unaffiliated third-party developers will create use cases for the coin. Very interesting. Identical to XRP, my friend. This is XRP. This is Ripple. Ripple the company, XRP the coin. Don't get it mixed. Ripple has stated that coin will be backed by assets that are held in accounts at a number of global financial institutions collectively. So this is crucial, guys. This is very crucial. So the coin is being backed by assets that are held in accounts at a number of global financial institutions. Company has stated that coin will be backed by assets that are held in account at a number of global financial institutions, collectively known as the Reserve Fund, that is managed by the company pursuant to policies set by its governance board, and that coin's market value will be maintained in line with the value of the assets held in the reserve fund. Keep this in mind. This is what we've been saying. All the money. It's going to be, oh my goodness, this is crazy. So it says clearly here, the coin's market value, the value of the token, market value will be maintained in line with the value of the assets held in the reserve fund. So all of the XRPs, the value is equal to all of the assets that are held globally, backing the token, held collectively in the reserve fund. Like I said, different accounts globally, collectively together, represents the reserve fund. Oh my goodness, guys. Wait till what I show you in this video. Under company's proposed ecosystem, the company will operate a permissioned blockchain that will use a consensus mechanism for keeping a record of transactional and ownership information of the coin. This would be RippleNet, because if it's permission, so this would be RippleNet itself. Company has stated that the reserve fund will be managed with the goal of value preservation and liquidity. Isn't that interesting? The company has stated that the reserve fund will be managed with the goal of value preservation. It's all about keeping value for this token. It's preserving its value and liquidity. What is Ripple? It's on-demand liquidity. That's their main product. It's all about fixing the global liquidity crisis because the central bankers are losing control. It's been planned for over 30 years. What's happening right now, what's being built by Ripple, is exactly to the T what the Rising Phoenix article in The Economist magazine projected in 1988, my friends. It's when you read the article in The Economist magazine, it describes exactly what Ripple is doing. This new global currency that would be responsible for trade and helping the FX market and provide global liquidity for the world would be best to be managed by the IMF. This is what the article described in 1988. And this is the year before David Schwartz, the chief cryptographer of Ripple, received what is technically the Bitcoin patent. If you Google search David Schwartz Bitcoin patent, you'll find a patent that he was awarded in 1989 when he worked for the most powerful three-letter agency in the world. And it's a patent on distributed computer systems. It's literally the Bitcoin patent. You can read it yourself. This is 1989. So you can, the Nakamoto story, complete BS. The reserve fund will be composed of low volatility currencies, bank deposits, and sovereign debt instruments. Company expects that the financial instruments held in the reserve fund will be stable and liquid, and the value of which will be reflected in the total value of the outstanding number of coins through the authorized participant mechanism. Reserve fund will be stable and liquid, and the value is the value of all these tokens, of which will be reflected in the the value of all the financial instruments that are held in the reserve fund will be stable and liquid, and the value of which will be reflected in the total value of the outstanding number of coins through the authorized participant mechanisms, which is what I explained a few minutes ago. So all of the financial instruments and the assets that are backing this token, the value of all of them will be equal to the total value of the outstanding number of coins. The company, so they say company instead of saying the company, right? Ripple, obviously. So company expects that there will be a number of other participants who will play a role in the ecosystem and the coin. These include intermediaries such as market makers, liquidity providers, and other authorized participants, who will play a central role in redeeming the coin and making deposits to and receiving payments from the reserve fund. The role of these authorized participants would be for a stated purpose of maintaining the trading price of the coin at a value close to the value of the assets held in the reserve fund through the use of arbitrage. The role of the other participants, authorized participants, would be for a stated purpose of maintaining the trading price of the coin at a value close to the value of the assets held in the reserve fund. And you go back up here, and it's earlier we read that it says the company has stated that the coin will be backed by assets that are held in accounts at a number of global financial institutions, collectively the reserve fund, that is managed by the company pursuant to the policy set by its governor board, so on and so forth. And the coin's market value will be maintained in line with the value of the assets, so that's all of the assets that are held in the reserve fund. Wait till I show you the David Schwartz stablecoin proposal. That's David Schwartz from Ripple. I'm going to show you where he proposed the stablecoins, and technically what he's describing is the global stablecoin. He's technically describing this paper here to the T. So we're going to jump here a bit. So right here, crypto asset wallets will permit users to send and receive and store the coin. Coins will be transferred both through crypto asset trading platforms as well as in peer-to-peer transactions. Crypto asset trading platforms will purchase and sell the coin to and from authorized participants and end users in exchange for fiat currency or other cryptocurrencies or crypto assets, in most cases involving crypto asset trading platforms. The coin would be held in an omnibus wallet of the crypto asset trading platform, with transfers between and among its customers recorded only on the books of the crypto asset trading platform. Such transfers of the coin would not be recorded on the company blockchain. Transfers through a crypto asset trading platform will be reflected on the blockchain only if they are moved in or out of the crypto asset trading platform's omnibus wallet. Peer-to-peer transfers will be reflected on the company's blockchain. And again, it talks about global stablecoins can be designed, so on and so forth. So does this sound to you like a hypothetical scenario? They're literally telling you exactly what the company is going to do. It's going to have a reserve fund. The cryptos are going to be backed by everything. They will be traded. There'll be this. Does this really sound like a hypothetical? This is not a hypothetical. Oh my goodness. And this is all about creating the global regulatory framework so that this global stablecoin can get adoption. This is literally what this document is about. But they have to say it's a hypothetical case study, because they can't just say in the document, like, this is what we're doing. So they have to word it as if it's a hypothetical case study. But really what they're doing here, they're discussing the rise of XRP, the rise of Ripple as a new global reserve currency, the new global stablecoin. This, my friend, was published in 2020. March 2020, you're talking 5 years ago, which is 9 months before the Ripple lawsuit happened. This is 9 months before the SEC sued Ripple. That's why I tell you, in my opinion, this lawsuit is complete theater. Absolute complete theater. Give them an Oscar award. They deserve it. And I just want to show you something again that I showed a few seconds ago, just so we go back to the original thought, because I've been reading it quite a while here. A company has determined to design a platform using distributed ledger technology to issue a crypto asset, a coin, that is intended to act as a stablecoin. This stablecoin is intended to act as a means of exchange. It's a bridge asset. It's a bridge token. It's an exchange. It's a currency. Oh my goodness. If you can't see this as XRP, I'm sorry. I mean, I can't help you. Then it says the company and third-party participants in the platform intend to offer goods and services. So when you look at the lawsuit, the Ripple lawsuit, SEC, there is 1,400. I think David Short said they had 1,400 contracts under NDA. Ripple had 1,400 contracts with participants, with corporations and companies and banks and whatever. It was actually 1,700, I think. It's actually 1,700, not 1,400 contracts that they had to bring utility and liquidity, utility and use cases for the XRP Ledger and RippleNet, for example. These are the participants right there. Some of them. Now we'll go right here, Mr. Man, shout out to Mr. Man XRP. It says, Jeremy Allaire confirms that global stablecoin regulations already exist and that they're based on the G20 recommendations in a document put out by the World Bank, CBDCs for border payments. November 2021, they recommend XRP and XLM as stablecoins. However, not in the traditional sense of a stablecoin. They provide stability in terms of parity against fiat currencies. They are not a traditional stablecoin. So here, shout out to Crypto Darren, both XRP and XLM are categorized as stablecoin platforms in IMF, World Bank, and BIS documents. So tell me, right now, Ripple, XRP is not pegged to anything. It's not officially backed by anything. So why was the World Bank, and I wish I could find that document, but years ago, there's a document that came out, and it's a World Bank document, and it's showing that XRP was a supranational currency, and then we have other documents from the World Bank, IMF, and the BIS talking about XRP sometimes being like a stable coin. Why are they saying, what did they know 5 years ago that they're not telling us? Because they're already calling it a stable coin. It has been nothing but stable. XRP has not been stable the past 5 years. So again, if it's a stable coin, what is it backed by? What is it going to be backed by? Or what is it going to be pegged to? Because something that's stable has to be either backed by a certain asset or it has to be pegged to an asset. So what is it like? What did they know 5-7 years ago that they're not telling us? Because it's not, oh my goodness, guys. So right here, shout out to ISO 20022. Oh, World Bank has recognized XRP as a stable coin designed specifically for facilitating cross-border payments, right? Oh my goodness, right here in the document, right here, talks about stable coin for cross-border payment, 4 seconds, and handling 1,500 transactions every second. It can go much higher now. Stable coin refers to a class of digital currencies that are of XRP, amount of XRP destroyed in the process. So stablecoin offers, talking about XRP for cross-border, and it's a stablecoin. Now, this document that I showed you right here that I read, the Global Stablecoin Initiatives, this is Global Stablecoin Initiatives, and then they give the hypothetical case study, right? This organization here, I'm going to show you. Like I said, this is the Board of International Organization of Securities Commission. So look right here. So I asked Grok, what's the relationship with the SEC and the International Organization of Securities Commission? The U.S. Securities and Exchange Commission, the SEC, is connected to the International Organization of Securities Commissions, the IOSCO. The SEC is an active member of IOSCO, a global organization that brings together securities regulators to promote investor protection. When they say investor protection, it's complete BS. So the regulations are not to protect us, it's to control us. Ensure fair and efficient markets, again, BS, and reduce systemic risk. The SEC participates in the IOSCO's initiatives, including standard setting, information sharing, and cooperation on cross-border regulatory issues. This connection helps align U.S. securities regulations with international standards and facilitates coordination on global financial market oversight. And This is the same organized. Imagine the SEC suing Ripple, but then you've got the International Organization for the US, for the SEC, literally putting out a blueprint on how Ripple can be the next global stablecoin. You just backed by assets globally. You just can't make this stuff up. Do you really think this lawsuit is a real lawsuit, or is there something behind this lawsuit that is a bit fishy? I'm asking for a friend. Let me know in the comments there, and I'll tell my friend what you said. I'll pass him the message. Thank you. I appreciate it. Now, let's watch a video here. This is the XRPL stablecoin proposal by David Schwartz. This was put out 5 years ago. So this is literally around the same time that the IOSCO published this document, which is about 9 months before the lawsuit. Technically, what he's describing here is Ripple, the XRP, being a global stablecoin, because it would be backed by numerous assets that would be issued on the XRP Ledger. So listen to this, my friend, and you tell me if this is not the global stablecoin, technically, if this is not a global stablecoin. Exactly what the IOSCO has just literally put out in their hypothetical scenario. Oh my goodness, you just can't make this stuff up.
A lot of questions about the stablecoin proposal, so I thought it might be tokenized assets whose value are expected to remain constant. So I thought it might be helpful for me to walk through what I have in the design to give people about the stablecoin proposal. So I thought it might be helpful for me to walk through what I have in the design to give people a better idea of how I intended the system to work. First of all, it's a collateralized stablecoin. That means tokenized assets whose value is expected to remain constant in some unit. So if it's a dollar stablecoin and you have 10 of it, you're expecting its value to remain stable at $10. These assets have a backing asset, in this case XRP. That means that there's something that is supposed to guarantee its value. On some of those systems, you can actually redeem the stablecoin for the backing asset. In some, you can't. What's interesting about this proposal is that the stablecoins are perfectly liquid to XRP at face value on the ledger. So in other words, if you have $1 in a dollar stablecoin designed on the system, what you have is a $1 claim on XRP enforceable by the ledger's payment mechanics. And the reason that's important is with some other stablecoin designs, if the stablecoin isn't popular, it won't necessarily be liquid. If it's not listed on an exchange, if it can't easily be deposited and withdrawn, it won't be that useful. By the design of this system, the stablecoins can be offered through the on-ledger decentralized exchange, and they spend like XRP. So you don't need to find some way to make them liquid. You can just spend them right on the ledger. And of course, they can be pegged to anything that someone can provide. Fiat currencies are probably what people typically think of, like dollars and euros or whatever. But they can also be pegged to things like stocks or precious metals or any other value source. As long as someone can provide a price feed for it, you can have a stablecoin pegged to that value. So there are 5 critical components to the system. There's the operator. That's the person or entity that provides the price feed and creates the system. There's the price feed itself. There are the collateralized positions. Then there's the redemption process, which is the way that someone who holds the stablecoin converts it into XRP in a payment. And then there's a series of incentives to ensure that the stablecoin remains convertible to sufficient XRP to back its value. The stablecoin operator has to have an account on the XRP ledger, and they have to decide to operate specific stablecoin systems. So they might say, I'm going to provide a USD stablecoin, and that means that they're going to operate a price feed. There are also some system parameters that they tune to ensure the system stability. The price feed establishes the rate at which the stablecoin is exchanged for XRP, and it's also used to determine whether there's enough collateralization. A system parameter would be the collateralization level, the minimum to issue, which might be, let's say, 150%. And so if you have $150 worth of XRP locked up, you could issue $100 in a stable coin. The price feed also controls when a position can be taken over. It's part of the incentive system. Prices can include an expiration time for safety or where needed. So if the price is inaccurate, that might allow people to issue more of the stable coin than the system can collateralize, or that might allow people to redeem the stable coin and claim too much collateral. So it's critical that the price feed be accurate. The operator can provide an expiration time in the price, and if there's no price provided by the operator, then issuing and redeeming halts. So imagine if I wanted to issue a price feed pegged to Apple stock, It would be very odd if right around the time that Apple announced their earnings or while the market was closed.
So what he's describing here, like I said, it's a global stablecoin, right? People can issue all types of different assets on the XRP ledger, and they would be backed by XRP. They're redeemable. They can go from that asset to XRP if you want to. So XRP is literally backing everything. Talks about the system, how everything's being backed by XRP when you issue any type of token. And he said it's anything that you can provide a price feed for: stocks, bonds, derivatives, gold, anything that you can tokenize, which is everything. Right? So we're going to go right here.
We want them to provide a good price feed. And if they're not getting paid to do it, it's difficult. The incentives might not be very good. So the system has a collection of operations. You can create a stablecoin system. If you're the operator, you can adjust the system parameters. You can manage your positions. If you have positions, you can create them, fund them, issue from them, pay them down, or release their funds. You can redeem a stablecoin for XRP when you make a payment, and you can make offers to take over positions and recollateralize positions. The operator has to create the system. They specify the currency and the initial system parameters, and that has to be done before any positions can be created. So if you want to create a dollar stablecoin, you have to set those parameters, and then you have to convince people that you're going to provide a reliable price feed. And they're expected to adjust the price regularly to maintain the peg accurately. The system operator can also adjust other parameters, such as the tax rate and collateralization level. Now, you might think that they could raise the tax rate to harm people using the system, but the tax only applies when XRP is the owner of a position can fund the position by placing more XRP in it as much as they want at any time. If there's any stablecoin issued from the position, that increases the collateralization rate, and we'll have that create a position if none exists. Issuing from the position is the only way to create any of a stablecoin. The position must be sufficiently collateralized after the issuance, so you can't issue so much of a stablecoin that you don't meet the minimum required collateralization rate to issue. And that will change the position's collateralization level. So for example, if you were collateralized at 200%, you had, let's say, $100 in XRP locked up and you only issued $50 of a stablecoin. If you issue more of the stablecoin, the collateralization level will drop. You can also pay down your position, which is the inverse of the issue operation. You have to have some of the stablecoin, you put it into the position, and you've increased your collateralization level. The stablecoin is destroyed in the process. So just like issuing creates stablecoin, paying down a position destroys stablecoin. The owner of a position can also release funds from the position. This can open the XRP order book logic. Essentially, one synthetic offer will be injected into that order book that represents redemption against the collateral pool. That will redeem against the least collateralized positions first, eliminate them, and cleaning out the junk. If there are reserve funds, it can even redeem against positions collateralized below 100%.
But this is the XRP Ledger stablecoin proposal. It's right on his YouTube channel, David Schwartz. All right, my friends. So guys, this is it for this one. Let me know your thoughts. So thank you so much for watching. Like I said, please like and subscribe. It really helps my channel. I appreciate all the love in the comments. Thank you so much, guys. I really appreciate all the support. So I'm wishing you a great night, great day, great evening, wherever you are. And again, thank you so much for watching, and God bless you. Thank you.